Pretend for a second that you're very, very cool. You're in a helicopter. You're also a professional photographer with a special type of lens. You're in front of a patio or an intersection or perhaps even another helicopter. You're in the right place at the right time with the right equipment and the right skills, and you've taken a photo that kinda looks like The Sims. There's a set of these images that circulates around the internet every now and then, and they never fail to entertain the masses. They really do look like old isometric video games, but there's one that's in a league of its own. It is a picture of a car crashing into the side of a CVS pharmacy. And the other ones, the illusion is tame. They're clearly photographs, but this, I was convinced for a while that this wasn't real. It actually looks like a screenshot from some sort of contorted 90s CD-ROM mystery game you'd find in your basement. Maybe it's the perfectly smooth gleam on the car, maybe it's the low resolution, or maybe it's just the idea of a car crashing into a CVS at all. At this point in time, I would have confidently said that's not something you see every day, until one day, I wanted to find this image again. So as you do, I googled CVS car and brick wall image, thinking it'd have to be the first or second result. The first and second results were pictures of cars crashing into CVS that I'd never seen before. Okay, we can stop the music. That's good, they get it. Now, this might seem kind of backwards, but I have to start with some reasons why this isn't that crazy. We're talking about car accidents in the United States, which is kind of like hay in a haystack. I don't even have to leave my state to find mishaps more outrageous than all of these. In fact, you know what? Yeah, let's do an example. Here's one. On a Sunday afternoon in August 2023, a guy crashed his car into a home in Alpharetta, Pennsylvania. A little odd that it was on purpose, and we don't know why, but still not inconceivable. Here's the problem. He crashed into the second floor. How do you do that? As it turns out, no one knows how you do that, because it doesn't make any sense. The leading theory is that the driver turned onto the grass before the driveway, hit the end of an underground drainage pipe, and then something, skip a few pages, car on roof. But hey, at least the fire department found speed to be a factor in the crash. That's helpful. I had a feeling that might be involved. Storefront crashes are a commodity in comparison to that. Replace CVS with Walgreens, and wow, it's like a ton of car crashes still. Replace Walgreens with Rite Aid, and again, same thing. Although Rite Aid's kinda winning here. You can't really have customers crashing into stores if you don't have stores or customers. Well played. Anyway, I think you get the idea. The more you look for this stuff, the more you find, and I guess at a certain point, you just have to accept that this happens a lot. So why am I making this video? Well, because I think CVS is different, and somehow I'm not the only one. CVS stores attract motor vehicles to their perimeters in ways that shouldn't be possible. It's January 20th, 2013. In Foxborough, Massachusetts and Atlanta, Georgia, the NFL semifinals conclude. In DC, Barack Obama is inaugurated for his second term. It's a deeply American day. But that's not what we care about today. We care about a CVS pharmacy on Long Island in an unincorporated community called Wading River. On January 20th, a 78-year-old man and his wife were parked at the store on the northeast corner of the building. After consulting my compass, I'm pretty sure that's this one. So let's say they're parked here. At this point, you'd put the car into drive and hit the gas. The first part didn't quite happen. There is now the minor inconvenience of a 5x5 foot hole in the wall. But hey, that's big enough to fit the world's biggest CRT television. You could, slide it on in there and have the world's weirdest drive-in movie night at CVS. But what happens instead is everyone goes home and they fix the wall. Right? I mean, I haven't finished reading here, but that just seems logical. Oh. Guys, I missed a word in the headline. It's phrased so casually in the article. A man crashed through Wading River CVS twice Sunday night. Right, yeah, of course. How do you even crash into CVS twice? What's left to crash into? A different part of the building? Would you just, pull out and make a full U-turn? Well, yes. If you're this guy, that's exactly what you do. I can't be too harsh on him, really. He certainly had no intention of double dipping. He just got confused while behind the wheel. When most Americans get confused behind the wheel, they just slam on the horn, something I appreciate even less. It's 2.5 years later, on July 17th, 2015. Today, it happened to the CVS on Morris Avenue in Union, New Jersey. Although the interior suffered some damage, it doesn't appear that the wall was actually broken at all from the outside. Compared to the last crash, it kind of feels like this CVS got lucky. Hey, it's me. Just wanted to take a second to sit here with you as the rain begins to gently drizzle on the windows of my car. What do you call that? The calm before the storm? April 30th, 2017. Car crashes into CVS on Morris Avenue. A silver Mercedes-Benz crashed through the wall at the CVS on Morris Avenue Sunday morning. A year ago, another car drove through the same wall at CVS just a few feet away. Only a year ago? That's crazy, isn't it? No. November 8th, 2017. Car crashes into CVS on Morris Avenue again. Remember like a minute ago when I commented on the absurdity of crashing into a CVS twice? Guess what happened again? And this time, I don't even have an explanation. No confusion, no U-turn, nothing. It's only been 7 months. Is that crazy yet? No, it is not. April 21st, 2018. Another car smashes into CVS on Morris Avenue. For the third time in the past year, a car has crashed into this building. Will this store never get a break? Will these intervals iteratively get shorter and shorter until we arrive at the perpetual CVS crash? Well, no. For 6 years, no further incidents would occur. But it's been 7 years since 2018. January 23rd, 2025, again, car slams into Union Township CVS Pharmacy. Officials have noted that this marks at least the third time a vehicle is the third. We're on number 5 easily. And I have no idea if there were more. For instance, I can't find any information about a crash in 2016, but the 2017 article claims that the previous one was a year ago, not 2 years ago. What's up with that? And even before 2015, who knows what did and didn't become news? How much suffering has this CVS had to endure? Why? What is going on? In desperation for answers, I turn to the only vestige of the internet that still has them. I'm talking about Reddit, of course. What, did you think I was about to pull out an academic journal or something? You know what channel you're watching. Someone crashed into the CVS on Forest Street again. The people in the comments here are on the exact same page as us. Some people are wondering how this is physically possible, others are wondering why the building wasn't future-proofed, many are wondering why this happens so often. One person even called CVS a car magnet. That's eloquent, actually. Another asks a question that I still have. How much is this CVS's problem as opposed to everyone's problem? It's just so hard to quantify. You can certainly try to count up all the news stories about crashes into each franchise, but will you ever reach the end, or find all of them, or even just know that the news has covered a significant portion in the first place? It's impossible to know, which is why I was so surprised to find my next clue on Facebook. Our boy CJ here says, years ago, I used to work for the CVS internal support line. This is exactly what we need. This is the knowledge that... Jesus Christ, multiple times a day. Okay, we have to do a little better than this. I think we're at that point. There has got to be an actual resource on this topic. Look, I mean, this is the internet. This is the internet. People have written about every obscure thing under the sun. So what do? Do I look in some obscure Tumblr page? Do I dig through the recesses of Wayback Machine? I think I'm overcomplicating this. Let me just go to storefrontcrashes.com. Oh, it's real. See, this is why I love making videos about the internet. It has everything you can imagine and so many things you can't. When it was created, storefrontcrashes.com was basically the only good resource on this topic, and even today, there's only a few. In 2008, the creator of the website was struck by a car inside a 7-Eleven, which I'd say is a pretty good reason to look into this topic, certainly much better than mine. The site links to a more current site called storefrontsafety.org. Network, which claims that over 100 of these incidents happen in the US every day. If we are to believe my thumbnail, that'd roughly mean that CVS accounts for 1% of all those incidents, which isn't inconceivable. Finding these preventative resources really made me realize that maybe the best question isn't why do people keep crashing into CVS, but rather how do we stop people from crashing into CVS? One answer is bollards, which is a fancy name for poles that you put in front of a building. If you're familiar with a convenience store called Wawa, you've seen bollards. All of their locations have bollards around the perimeter to prevent this exact thing from happening. CVS, not so much. Even if you can boil down the CVS conundrum into something simple, such as lots of old people go to CVS and old people are bad drivers, then where are the poles, CVS? Where is the preventative measure? I guess the moral of the story is that we can't not fix an issue just because it's weird. Treating these incidents as actual problems, and not as bizarre one-off occurrences, could save lives. And also, please, if you ever find yourself at the CVS on Morris Avenue in Union, New Jersey, please check your gear shift before leaving. Those poor employees have seen too much.